Ashes of Creation lawsuit exposed massive fraud. Okay, we're gonna look at this. So this has been pretty big. Like Steven might actually be fucked.
Today we're talking about the Ashes of Creation absolute gaming scandal and the legal nightmare that's come of it, and one of the biggest disasters in gaming history. This is a legal mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. This is a Fast Facts video, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. And this is something that came to my attention as I really came into the scope of this, the accounting nightmare and absolute insanity. And from a person who's been corporate counsel, this is a level of absolute corporate degeneracy that needed to be exposed. And also the risk for people investing in this, whether you're a large investor.
Some guy put $80 million into this shit. Like, I'd be out of my mind.
Kickstarter backer. All of these people were harmed in this scandal. So let's get into that today on the show. First, Ashes of Creation. So this is the defendant here. Just so you guys understand, this was supposed to be a quote-unquote old school sandbox MMORPG.
And keep in mind, as far as I know, a lawsuit hasn't been filed yet, but there's a chance that a lawsuit is going to get filed.
Type RPG, in case you haven't heard of it.
$80 million, that's a lot.
For 9 years since 2016. So obviously the studio, Intrepid Studios, is at the center of this, but the real defendant here, the one who really comes up over and over again, is Mr. Steven Sharif, who is not only creative director, but really the founder, the driving force behind this. And when you look at all the accounting, it points back to this gentleman. And there are many plaintiffs. When you look at the plaintiffs here, you see there are Warnock lawsuits, which were mass layoffs. That's something I'm going to explain to you guys, because the laws regarding that in America,
you got to tell people ahead of time that they're going to get laid off.
Where they were in California, they're even more strict. And then you've got TFE Game Holdings, Robert Dawson, a massive investor.
That's $80 million.
Legacy Trust with Jason Karamis. Unpaid vendors, they were not paying for stuff like Google services, etc. All that had to be paid back. And then, and then one thing I'm really concerned about is backers and crowdfunder class actions, because
there's no way that happens. Like, I think probability is that these two guys are probably going to sue. The vendors will probably get a liquidation amount based off of the company, selling its assets and then getting the money off of that. And then this lawsuit probably isn't going to happen or go anywhere. And this one definitely isn't going to happen or go anywhere. That's my guess.
In my mind, Kickstarter funding and whatnot, it may not be as big, but it shouldn't be treated as less than, or shouldn't be treated as second class.
So how are they going to get the money back?
Be forgotten about as people that were harmed as part of this whole debacle. So let's get into it. The opening statements here. The Sandbox MMORPG was developed, announced in 2016. It grew through Kickstarter, primarily hitting $750,000 in 12 hours. So getting a lot of traction very, very quickly, and eventually ending up with over $3 million in funding. So a significant amount.
That's like rent for like 2 months, by the way. It's like nothing.
Of Kickstarter funds in the aggregate. Although, yes, that's less than their total investment amounts. But we have to remember, as we're going to see, a lot of this was really a pyramid of loans based on projected revenue, based that was not reported correctly or not being actually donated. And then that used to create larger loans. So there's a whole sort of pyramid that started with Kickstarter. Without that Kickstarter funding, they wouldn't have been able to secure the larger loans and get themselves in this deep.
Yeah, this is the there's like a legal financial thing that people do. Like, whenever you get into big money situations, you have people that use debt as a collateral asset to take on more money, and then they use the debt that they just took on with that money in order to get more investment, and it's like a total fucking bunch of bullshit.
Early access was launched on December 11th, 2025, but the entire studio closed in January 2026, and the game was removed from Steam in February 2nd,
Unlimited money glitch.
So the real question there is, like, did the people that bought in get what they paid for? Did they expect the launch to take 9 years and then only last for a couple of months? No, that's not the typical expectation of a gamer, and that's not what you'd expect when you're going to buy a product. So the Warren Act, the mass layoffs, this is a really interesting federal law that I have a lot of experience with, and it deals with these 60-day notice for companies over 100-plus employees. Back during COVID, I was around when we had to issue these type of warnings to all sorts of companies across the United States, and particularly if you're in California, they have an extra special statute that has more requirements and is much more strict. Correct. So
Okay.
they laid off 123 employees without proper legal notice. So this signals to me, as someone who has deep experience with this, very big insolvency issues. Typically, you're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to get around this and deal with this if you've got the money, if you've got the ability to deal with this. Only companies that do not have money and that are truly deeply insolvent are going to run up against WARN Act mass layoff issues, right?
Or companies that don't give a shit and think that they can run away with the money too. Keep that in mind as well. Like it's not like it's always one or the other. It could also be that they think that they can get away with it because, there's no way, like, how are they going to get sued or something like that? Like, how are you going to get the money out of them? Because at the end of the day, unless they can figure out that unless they can hold Steven personally liable, which, like, it's very unlikely, there's a high chance that they're not going to be able to get that money out of it because all of the company's assets are probably going to be liquidated and seized by the bank that they already have loans against those assets to begin with. So, like, how are they going to get any money out of it, period? Prison? You don't go to prison for this.
That's typically a sign that you don't have the money and you're not doing the budgeting properly.
I don't know if
and the cases that are looking into this and the cases that are against this are in several jurisdictions, but they're really seeking 60 days back pay and benefits. There's 2 class actions. One of them's in California. And like I mentioned, California law is not in favor here. So those people are probably going to get a payout there in California. But I want to read you the comments from, once again, Mr. Steven Sharif, because he's a character here who, after these layoffs were happening, tried to draw out a lot of sympathy. And as we're going to see, he's perhaps one that shouldn't be speaking here. But let's read his statement to give it fair dues here and give it some thoughts. So he said, and this is one of his statements he made on Discord, I can make a limited statement in my personal capacity and not on behalf of the company regarding the situation.
Nothing's going to happen.
Control of the company shifted away from me, and the board began directing actions that I could not ethically agree with or carry out. As a result, I chose to resign in protest rather than lend my name and authority to decisions I could not ethically support. Following my resignation, much of the senior leadership team resigned. Following the departures, the board made the decision to issue the WARN Act notices and proceed with a mass layoff. I cannot responsibly speak to further details at this time due to ongoing legal and governance matters. That's some real corporate lawyer speak right there.
Oh, yeah.
What I can say is that the developers and staff acted in good faith. That's a word right there. And deserve better than uncertainty they are now facing. I am incredibly dismayed by the situation. I guarantee you he had a lawyer.
72 clown emoji reacts, 22 middle finger reacts, 8 caps, 33 poop reacts. Like, I mean, this is not looking good, guys.
Draft this up. I can tell you that right now. This is a
bad.
Definite lawyerly statement talking about limited statements, good faith, right? This is something that is lawyer drafted up. And we can see that when we actually do the accounting. And credit to Nafaz HQ, who did a lot of the accounting work. And there's a lot of...
Oh, no, bro. Robert gave him... Dude, this is like 3 months ago, and you just dropped in a million... $1.3 million. Oh, no.
Great accounts.
So, wait, Jason had... Wait, you put in $6.8 million, and he only gave you 3%?
That have been following this and haven't gotten enough traction on this because I believe a scandal of this size deserves to be exposed.
What the hell?
That everybody knows this is what you can be getting into with these projects you're giving money to and investing in, whether you're investing on Kickstarter or whether you're somebody who has a significant amount of money.
Steven only had 5%?
Like, wait. 401k, and you're deciding to direct it towards these things. This was a massive amount. We're talking about $99 million here, right? And
99 million. Oh, my God.
Once again, this is absolutely an insane amount of money that was really misused. So let's get into the investor lawsuits. So the first lawsuit with TFE lawsuit in Nevada was by Robert Dawson against Sharif and John Moore. It claims embezzlement, commingling of funds, fraud, and breach of fiduciary duties. Those are all very serious. claims, and those are all related to essentially when you're having an amount of money that's not directed where it should go, it's being embezzled. You're commingling funds. That means personal funds and business funds.
That's the piercing the corporate veil. That's how they can hold you personally liable versus holding the corporation liable.
Fraudulent misrepresentation. You say you're going to use it for one thing, you're using it for another, and breach of fiduciary duty. You're in charge of those funds and you're misusing them. You have a fiduciary duty to your company, right, and investors to use them in a proper.
I don't know. Actually, this is a question I'd have for Andrew. Is that I thought that you only had to operate out of fiduciary responsibility when you were a publicly traded company. I wasn't aware that a privately traded stakeholder has the ability to hold the board to a fiduciary responsibility. I thought it was only if you were publicly traded, but I don't know that.
Manner. So they go out and say that Sharif withdrew $10 million that just wasn't accounted for.
I don't know the answer.
He was paying his husband, Mr. Moore, John Moore, the former COO, a salary without work. So essentially his husband was not working. So remember back to his statement when he says, hey, the senior leadership resigned. Okay. Well, one of them was your husband who wasn't doing any work, right? using company funds for a California mansion. Definitely not permissible. And then
See that? I think that if he actually used company funds to buy a mansion, I think that they're going to get him. I do. I think that's especially if you're living there and you're not making content out of there. Now, what I'm assuming that he would probably use as a defense is that he worked out of there, but there's a reason why you can't write your whole house off whenever you're writing out of a home office, right? You have to look at the area of the house. Like, I don't even write off my home office. I don't even do that. I have like a million other write-offs, but that's not even one of them that I engage with because there are certain things like that are like red flags for auditing, and it only gets you like $1,800 in some cases, right? It's not even that much. They rented, not bought. Yeah, but if they're renting the house, so and here's the issue, right? Is like if you're renting the house and you're recording videos in the house, you're probably going to use that as a defense. But I don't think that anybody is going to realistically buy that.
Loans as revenue to secure larger loans. So essentially,
they were
taking loans based on
I don't want to talk about it.
Promised revenue or based on that Kickstarter revenue.
It's really bad.
Once again, all going back to Kickstarter, taking that Kickstarter revenue, using that to secure a loan, and then counting the loan as revenue, which is not good accounting practice. I'm not an accountant, but I can tell you right now, that's not a good accounting practice.
Well,
right?
it's obviously not. It's illegal. Yeah, of course.
To use a loan as revenue to secure a larger loan, right? And that's just a big pyramid of debt that ends up collapsing on you. And then sabotaging the company upon his resignation. So all of these things happened, and this lawsuit was concluded, and TFE foreclosed on Intrepid seizing all its assets and IP. So they did get the assets and IP in this case, and it does show, once again, you've got...
Getting the assets and the IP is like getting the wrapper from a candy bar after somebody's done eating the candy. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, nobody gives a shit.
Evidence out there. You've got documents that have been released to show that these things happen. So these documents and evidence are now used by people, such as on YouTube, to expose them, accounting and tax emails, etc. But they can also be used in other class actions, and that's very important here. Next, there was the Yaya legacy. Also be used.
This is crazy. $10 million unaccounted for. You could figure this out in like 10 seconds.
In other class actions, and that's very important here. Next, there was the Yaya legacy lawsuit, which was another large investor, Jason Karamis, against Sharif. And this one's got really the big key points here. This is the
guy, I think, that called into that other dude's stream like 3 days ago.
Sharif orchestrated a $140 million fraud scheme by falsifying self-funding when he really gave no money himself. So he had zero personal investment looking at the QuickBook.
I'm not sure if I believe that. And the reason why I don't believe that is because there's a good chance that the personal investment that he did was at the founding of the company rather than the incorporation of the company with an investment structure. I think this could be, because again, you have to keep in mind, everybody is already going to be against Steven. And I think that that's going to shade everything that people hear as being negative against Steven. And I'm not saying Steven's good or not. I'm just saying that keep in mind that whenever you hear it from Jason, that Jason's going to give you the perspective that's in his best interest.
And using that as the evidence
important
to
to
say,
keep in
hey,
mind.
he's got nothing in here. He was failing to report monthly losses of $2.3 million every month. Think about that.
You can't
Not putting those losses on the book.
That's
crazy. Having no board meetings in 9 years. And this is one that I like. How negligent do you have to be to not have a single board meeting in 9 years?
Yeah.
That's really how you pull the wool over people's eyes, is you're just not talking about things. You're not having any minutes. You're not doing what a normal corporation would do. You'd have board meetings very regularly, quarterly. If not, when you're really spinning up.
You do it's quarterly or once a year, right? I mean, it's like, I thought, honestly, like I remember whenever we went through all this, I thought the law was that you had to do it once a year. Like that's what they made it sound like to me. Whenever I talked about this, or I looked into this, like I thought you basically had to do it. That's why I'm confused.
You might even have monthly or bi-monthly, right? If you're really in a building phase. But having none, that's not acceptable. Using Steam revenue for personal gain, bankrupting Intrepid Studios, and rejecting and restructuring. Remember, businesses can more easily go through bankruptcy and restructuring than personal accounts and personal bankruptcy. So it's always possible, even if you're in deep, even if you have a lot of problems, if along the way in this 9-year journey, if Sharif wanted to redirect the company and go elsewhere and try to restructure it or try to get things right, that could have been done. There's points at which in a company you can restructure even a really bad situation, and you can try to go get alternative funding or try to argue different debt rates, etc.
This is the reason why Ubisoft still exists, by the way. We talk about, oh wow, women are so stupid with astrology. Trust me, some accounting measures are even more bullshit than horoscopes. Keep that in mind.
That's always possible, but they decided not to do any of
bullshit.
That. And this lawsuit is now impending. And
cheating
now
money,
getting to the one thing that I'm kind of passionate about, which is Kickstarter. As somebody who's invested in some Kickstarter stuff in my time, and looking at what was promised, these are tier lists from one of the Kickstarter campaigns. There were, from what I'm aware, talking to people, there were multiple Kickstarter campaigns, but from one of them, you got the Warrior of Old at 250, Braver Worlds at 500, Leader of Men at 1,000, and all the way up to Avatar of the Phoenix at 10K a pop. And what you're promised here are things that you can use in the game, is getting access to the game and being able to use all these things, have all these things. Look, some of them have lifetime subscriptions, etc. And the way they tried to snake out of this, the way they try to get out of being responsible for this is saying, we launched the game. We launched the game. Well, was that really a launch? It was more of an early access that you had barely.
It's definitively an early access because it was released as an early access on Steam. I think if this went to court, nobody could conclude that it was that's like saying a beta for a video game or any playable demo is a launch of a video game. That's obviously not the case, and it's a deliberate misunderstanding of what the terms mean.
Under 2 months of access to? I don't really think so. So getting into the Kickstarter claims, which have not been filed, but people are wanting these things to be filed, I think under California law, piercing the corporate veil against Stephen Sharif is very likely to succeed. So there is a possibility.
If he lived in the house, probably.
For these things to kick off. There's very strong evidence for fraudulent inducement and misrepresentation, which is California Civil Code Section 1572, breach of contract and implied covenant, and unjust enrichment. So for the Kickstarter TOS and the campaign promise, putting those together, saying, hey, you put this on Kickstarter, look at the TOS, look what you have to deliver there, plus your promises during the campaign, that's an enforceable obligation. That's something
I just don't think that, it's... I don't really see the class action Kickstarter lawsuit happening. I don't. Now, I would say that, do you know who should do it? Maldavius Fig Tree. Pirate Software. The man himself. Because let's be honest, Thor is so... He can be. He can be so sanctimonious. He can be so self-righteous. Oh my God. And he does this. And if he honestly should do it for content. It would be crazy if he did that. The redemption arc. Yes, exactly, bro. Fucking exactly.
You have a obligation to launch the game truly or refund.
Second generation
really,
Blizzard.
I mean, to me, that's pretty straight up. And that is one of the strongest claims for people looking to put this together. And then you also can look at early access as not a launch per expectations, especially after a 9-year delay. And looking at the backers giving so much money, $3.27 million, which Sharif misused. He's enriched by that. So he himself personally was enriched by that, some of which he used to secure loans, which he mismanaged or misused, but it has to go back to
I wonder, this is a question I don't know, is that if you use funds to secure other funds, if the funds that you secured with the first funds and then you misappropriate those funds, does that create enough of a grounds to say that you were misusing the original funds and have them redistributed? I don't know if that's the case. I mean, logically you would assume that is the case, but maybe from a categorical perspective it wouldn't work. It stacks, yeah, that's still embezzlement. I just don't know enough about this.
Original 3.27 million the game wouldn't have been started without. So backers, if they want to get behind this, which I know a lot of people are talking about this on different platforms right now, they should really document their pledges. They should save all those statements from Sharif and join in a class action. Try to find a class action in California that has very good law. So let's get to the There's a very high likelihood of piercing the corporate veil against Steven Sharif and possibly others, such as his husband, right? You've got possible claims for fraudulent inducement, breach of implied contract, and unjust enrichment for those Kickstarter backers. So I really think they should seriously consider this as a way to fight back. Courts need to offer a remedy for backers and crowdfunders to prevent.
It will not happen. Nothing's happening with that. I'm gonna be honest. Like the guys with a lot of money on this will probably get something out of it, but like the fucking random people, like if you were like, I love Asmongold and he's interviewing this guy and he's making my favorite MMO, I have to give him $250 to play it early. Oh, it's a scam? Oh, not again. You're not getting your $250 back, man. Sorry about that. Oops, my bad.
Them from being scammed in the future. Backers, I know what they're giving is small compared to a 401k or a pension fund or a large investor, but they shouldn't be treated as expendable and they shouldn't be treated as second-class citizens get their money back, but they won't. Law and under the law. They shouldn't have to look and say, okay, well, I've given up this money now. This money is gone. I'm not going to get anything from it. That can be a lot of money to a person. If they gave 250 or 1,000, maybe to them that was a lot of money. And yes, it's not $99 million, right? But it's something that should be given
collectively
back to them.
$3 million.
So I do think they should come together and form a lawsuit and look at a remedy here, because this is an unjust thing that happened. And Ashes of Creation is absolutely one of the biggest scams that I've seen in really recent history regarding games. But
I want to see what the lawsuit is. And more importantly, I want to see what Steven's response to it will be. Because like what they're alleging is like crazy. Like you're talking about like basically the biggest corporate fraud things that you can possibly do. Like I don't know.
I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Have you heard of this? Did you know about it? What do you think about it now? Let me talk to you later. Peace.
Man, what a fucking video. No, I honestly, like, I do think that there's a high probability if he used the funds to buy that house, then there is a good chance that he could be getting cooked, man. Maybe Steven thought about saving the company with Steam sales. I thought they already made the decision before then. There's the video right there. Make sure to give it a like. I love Andrew, Legal Mindset. I've been watching his videos for a very long time, and I think he's got a good take on things, short, to the point video, etc. And so sad, I wanted to make a good one. Absolutely. He was texting Jason that Ashes was going to get taken by Tencent, which hyped Jason up massively, and he gave millions on it. Well, I saw the investment that Jason put in was 1.3, right? That's what it said. Yeah. No, that's Robert. Oh. So Jason put in 6.8? Oh my God. Oh my God. Why do MMO gamers keep getting fucked? Because it is the reason why MMO gamers keep getting fucked is actually completely reasonable and easily understandable for why that is. I'll tell you the reason why. It's because MMOs are the biggest game. So there are the most fail points inside of an MMO development. So like, for example, if you're making an FPS game that's like very small in scope, there are fewer points of failure than there are with an MMO. I would throw up losing $6 million. I mean, the odds are, I mean, anybody that has the finances to go and spend $6 million, and especially for like such a small percentage in ownership, like I bet this guy probably has like a $20+ million net worth. Like I bet he's probably fine. But like, I'd still be fucking furious. I would be. I mean, like, yeah. What about Robert losing? Yeah, now Robert, on the other hand, Robert, I'd be really upset. I would be very, very upset if I was Robert. I'd be furious. Where'd the $100 million go anyway? It didn't pay for stuff for a longer time. It's just the reason, like the reason why he lost a lot of this money, right? Losing 25% of your money. I mean, yeah, but like if you have that much money, it's not like it's gonna matter, right? I mean, it's bad. Robert's probably worth 9 figures. Yeah, I mean that's probably true. And so I see him. I want to watch his back. I mean, I don't know about that, but like, he is not. He had to undersell his Lambo and Rolls Royce and liquidate Bitcoin. Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, a Lamborghini and a Rolls Royce, like, I mean, that's like what at most like 800K. Like, I mean, if you're reselling it, right? I mean, that's best case scenario. So, I mean, I still don't see how you, like, that's another 6 million that you're getting, right? At most, yeah, exactly, if that. And so under $1 million, yeah, I would say that. I don't know how much a used Lamborghini is. I have no idea. No, it depends on the model. Like, I don't even know how much a Rolls Royce is either. Don't me to be honest. Yeah, massively mismanaged operation. That's the new MMO nowadays, guys. Why did no one from the board say we require a board meeting within 9 fucking years? The reason probably is because there were board meetings, but they were unofficial, and they weren't counted as official board meetings for... But I think that really, that is probably going to show that they were not going through, traditional practices, best practices. So they probably were having meetings, but they weren't, like, they weren't formal board meetings, right? Like a Discord call or something like that. It's not on the books, exactly. Because, like, I bet they probably talk to each other regularly, but, like, that's not it. Either way, that's fucking crazy. I'm going to take a break and chill out for a bit, get some fucking food and eat, but I'll hang out for maybe a little, like, 10, 20 more minutes and hang out and do anything else. Didn't Steven say there's no board to answer anyone? There's the video again. Make sure to give it a like. I would say boards don't mean much in private. Well, the board doesn't mean a lot, but this is the reason why I think it matters. It matters because if you can see that they're not doing, so they're not doing accounting best practices. They're not doing board meetings. They're, embezzling funds, and they're commingling personal finances with company finances. Whenever you put all of these things together, you have a large amount of information that makes him look bad, right? I mean, that's the main issue. It's not that it's one thing, it's about creating a pattern of behavior. Have you been playing infield lately? Sets up a precedent for misuse? Yeah, it sets the stage in order for people to make an argument that there was a misuse.